History remembers kings through monuments, wars, and dynasties. But rarely do we hear their voices as they truly were. Uncensored, vulnerable, human. Babur, the founder of the Mughal dynasty, was different. His autobiography, the Baburnama, is one of the great treasures of world literature. In it, we see not just the emperor, but the man, his ambitions, his vices, his regrets, and his joys. This is the story of Babur Shah, told in his own words. Babur's story begins in 1483 in the rugged valley of Fergana, modern-day Uzbekistan. He was a child of destiny, descended from Timur on his father's side and Genghis Khan on his mother's. But this inheritance brought him not security, but peril. At just 12 years old, his father died by accident falling from the walls of a pigeon coop. Overnight, Babur was thrust onto the throne.
In the month of Ramadan of the year 899, when I was 12 years old, I became ruler in my father's place.
It was a fragile kingdom, surrounded by powerful enemies. However, the boy king soon set his eyes on Samarkand, the glorious city of Timur, his ancestor. He captured it at 14, only to lose it again months later. While he was away laying siege to Samarkand, enemies in his home city took control of the territory. This rendered Babur homeless. He had neither Samarkand nor Fergana.
Though I gained Samarkand, within a short time, I lost both it and my own kingdom of Fergana.
This cycle, victory followed by loss, hope followed by despair, would define much of Babur's youth. Yet even in failure, he wrote with disarming honesty. Babur spent much of his early life wandering, exiled from one city, struggling to claim another. His army was small, his resources thin, yet through it all, he clung to his pen. He writes in his memoirs that he often has no kingdom, no coin, no security. The Baburnama is filled with not just accounts of battle, but of landscapes, gardens, and fleeting joys. In 1504, Babur captured Kabul, and finally, he secured a base, a city from which to rebuild his power. In Kabul, Babur found peace, even joy. He laid gardens, hosted poets, and fathered children.
The garden of Kabul is charming in spring. The violets and roses grow in beds, and the air is sweet.
His writing reveals a man who saw the world in contrasts. He praised the beauty of tulips and the song of nightingales. But he also described his own addictions to wine, to opium, and to pleasure.
At that time, I drank a great deal of wine and gave myself up to merriment. Afterwards, I regretted it and resolved to abandon drinking forever.
It is this candid voice, self-critical, reflective, that sets Babur apart from the rulers of his age. But ambition stirred within him still. His ancestral home of Samarkand remained elusive. By his 30s, Babur's dream of reclaiming Samarkand was shattered. He had tried 3 times, and 3 times he failed, and his home of Fergana was slipping from Timurid hands. Babur needed a new horizon, a new conquest. His eyes turned south, toward India. To him, it was a strange and alien land, yet also one of immense wealth and opportunity.
Hindustan is a country of few charms. There is no beauty in its people, no graceful social intercourse, no poetic talent or understanding, no etiquette, no candor. But it is a land of gold and silver, of wealth and plenty.
To Babur, India was not love at first sight. It was necessity. For centuries, invaders had crossed through the Khyber Pass, from Alexander the Great to Mahmud Ghazni, and in 1526 Babur Shah, he crossed into Hindustan with just 15,000 men. He faced a much larger army. Some reports say the Indian army of the mighty Sultan Ibrahim Lodi was over 100,000. They met in battle at Panipat, the stage for one of the most decisive battles in Indian history. The plain of Panipat shook with cannon fire. Babur's disciplined ranks, fortified by carts and trenches, poured musket shot into Lodi's elephants. The thunder of Babur's cannons, a weapon new to Indian battlefields, shattered the Delhi Sultanate. Panic rippled through the Sultan's forces. By day's end, Ibrahim Lodi lay dead among his men.
Thanks be to the Almighty God, the Lodi army was crushed in the twinkling of an eye. Victory was ours.
The victory did more than topple a sultan. It marked the birth of the Mughal Empire. For the first time, the Mughal banner flew over Agra and Delhi. But Babur was no gentle ruler. Victory could bring out his most ruthless side. After defeating Rana Sangha of Mewar at Kanwa, Babur ordered towers of enemy heads built to mark the triumph. He cast the battle as a holy war against the infidels. His private writings reveal a man far from pious.
We built a tower of their heads on the battlefield. Such was the terror we spread that no enemy dared return.
And yet, this same man who embraced brutality also designed gardens laid out in perfect symmetry, bringing the Persian love of order and nature into India. These gardens became living metaphors of paradise, a vision. He brought Persian culture, architecture, and art to India. He created paradise on earth laid by human hands.
Every good and perfect thing is to be found in a garden.
In Babur, we find contradictions. A devout Muslim who loved wine, a poet who could be merciless, a conqueror who built havens of beauty. His humanity lay in this tension, but he was a conqueror, and his rule was forged in blood. Rebellions erupted, and battles continued until his final days. In his final years, Babur's greatest battle was not against enemies, but against fate itself. His beloved son and heir, Humayun, fell gravely ill. The court despaired, but Babur prayed for a miracle.
I prayed to God, saying, if a life may be exchanged for a life, I, who am Babur, give mine for Humayun's.
Soon after, Humayun recovered, and Babur, only 47 years old, grew weak and died. His body was carried to Kabul, the city he loved above all others. There he rests in the garden he built with his own hands. Babur ruled India for just 4 years, but his dynasty would rule for 3 centuries. Through Baburnama, Babur gave us something greater than empire, the rarest of treasures, his soul. He was brave and brutal, indulgent and regretful, visionary and flawed. Above all, he was human. This was Babur Shah, in his own words.
Every man who comes into the world must one day leave it. May my end be in such a way that I am remembered with honor.